program today.
Cayman Islands foremost listeners participation program.
May God bless every person.
Afternoon and welcome. Thank you for joining us. It is indeed a terrific Tuesday and it's going to be great. I got a chance to start off a discussion with my good friend Mr. Neil Murray. We might solve the world's problems, but we'll encourage, motivate, inspire, who knows, intrigue you. So stay tuned for Talk Today.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today, the Cayman Islands foremost listeners participation program. We ask our listeners to avoid statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use any indecent language or make any statement which is false or misleading. Email talktoday@candw.ky or call 1-800-534-8255. Courtesy of Flow,
Cayman's #1 network that connects you to your world like never before.
Let your voice be heard. Once again, here's your host, Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. And please, continue to do what you do if you're doing it in the best interest of all and to make it even better. Well, you can take a page, if you'd allow me to share, from Mr. Neil Murray. Neil, I know I don't wish to embarrass you. I say this, I always look, for the best, whether it's outside and it's raining. I say, well, it's raining. Or if it's blazing hot, well, yeah, it's blazing hot. You always look for the best. But with you, it's easy to find the good. Such humility, but such diligence, dedication, and a true sense of community-mindedness. So good to know there are people like you, my friend.
All right, thank you, Dwayne.
When I look at our young people, our young boys in particular, sometimes probably the same, maybe more now than ever because of the way the world is interconnected and how we travel and sometimes how we communicate, that our young girls equally, or maybe more so. But our young men in particular, they always need a little bit of nurturing, a little guidance, a little bit of discipline, a little bit of extra sometimes, a little thing to get them out. Football has been that thing that, for most boys, you dangle that ball and you get into to really, really, really see what life is like, what it could be.
Yeah, definitely. And I don't want to get you in trouble, but we also have to include the girls now. So
no, by no means. Well, you know how I feel about that, right? I believe that football in America only became, what it is because of the women's, World Cup team. Not just the Mia Hamms and the like, but the fact that they played not just with a discipline, but with a love and a passion, but with a skill. They moved the ball around like a chess piece, and they played with more finesse than I think any, even Alexa Lalas would have to admit if he was being honest, with the greatness that none of their players to date could ever exhibit.
Right.
So the skill is there. But again, young women are prone to, better guidance, instruction, and discipline. Sometimes our young men, maybe we get ahead of ourselves a little bit too early.
Yep.
But having those people, like yourselves, continue that tradition of making us motivated. And as we celebrate last evening, the education in politics, in government, and in civicness, we were able to celebrate, Mr. Borden, and hopefully that'll continue to inspire others as he obviously will continue to contribute. But we have in sports, and there are some coaches who come apart. So share with us, Mr. Murray.
Well, as most people would probably know by now, that we lost Coach Winston Chung on November 8th. And a group of us who are ex-players and friends and, longtime friends of Coach Chung are actually organizing an event which we like to refer to as a celebration of life. It'll be from 6 to 9 at the Lions Center next week, Wednesday, December 12th. And again, it's really a celebration of life. We have a couple speakers who have been involved with Coach Chung from the time he came in the 1980s. Tony Scott, who was president, or who was vice president when he came with the association and turned president under Alan Moore. A couple other people, players from my generation, from younger generations that played in the Miami Classics, who won the Miami Classics eventually, including other students in in athletes like Carl and Carlos Morgan, who's benefited from scholarships to school to obviously become better educated and better people, and better people to come back to Cayman and share their experiences. So again, it's a celebration of life that we're inviting everybody to be there. It's not by invitation only. It's an open forum, and then towards the end we'll kind of just leave it open mic if somebody wants to say a few words, because we are aware of quite a few things that Coach Chung did while he was here, and we documented people who have gone to school because of him or through him or because of his assistance. But we also know there was a couple other ones that we don't know about, because Coach Chung was always one of those people who worked in the dark, so to speak, and he was never one for accolades, or he was very humble, didn't really care about the limelight, didn't really care to be accredited for what he did or for what he assisted with. So again, it's just a simple celebration of life that we'd honor him with.
The thing, as you talk about some of the scholarships, I always believe that academics has to be front and center. I look at you and others who have used or allowed football to be that vehicle by which you get education, but you still allow the sport, you still participate in the sport, player, spectator, coach, organizer, some other facet. But you mentioned in the Twins, I think back to when sitting sort of in the background, watching some of the paperwork being shuffled and the phone calls being made and the things that need to happen for this potential applicant not only to be accepted, but once accepted, to be processed, to be admitted, to be on the plane and settled.
Right.
And then even when the first semester or the second semester or the third year down, things still continue. Parents now who may take a different route to tertiary studies will still be doing that same thing in the application process.
Right.
But I recall a couple of people doing what I call the pencil and the paper part at that time, even though there was computers and online stuff, having to do physically move from one place to the next to get the references.
Right.
And some names that come to mind, the Twins were equally. So a lot of people have benefited,
right,
but a lot of people also equally have seen that what you can do as an individual can make a difference. Imagine if we now can combine that effort, how much
No,
more.
definitely. I mean, he started Academy Sports Club specifically for that, to get kids into school. That was his main drive. It didn't matter if it was kids that came through the academy system, East End, Bordentown, Scholars, any club or any football club that had kids who had the ambition to go away and maybe didn't have the means. He sought the means. And of course, between him and Michael Walker from Jamaica, who does the boarding school fair that I'm involved with, was actually the event that kind of propelled some other players to go to. So it was a combination of Coach Chung's knowledge as well as Mr. Walker's knowledge and emphasis on education. So that's where it pretty much started.
We're building bridges, and some of the student athletes, perhaps because of maybe the system here, perhaps the timing, their age, their lack of interest, motivation, development, maturity, may not have been perceived by parent, by teacher, by their own colleagues. You're not going to go to college. You don't have the whatever that thing is, right? Finances included, and yet they excel. I mean, there are many of us, I think, but for people like Coach Chung and others who motivated, who helped to pave the way, we may not have, got a chance to go where we were,
No, exactly. And again, it was just the opportunities that he was able to manufacture, if you want, through his contacts in the States and through other people's contacts. And again, he initiated the process. And maybe it might have been somebody who didn't have the ambition to go, but eventually they saw the importance of it, and their parents saw the importance of it, and try to do as much as possible to get their kids through that system.
Something, Neil, as we speak to Neil Murray, of course, we're celebrating Coach Chung, but with the greatest respect, I think the legacy of individuals like that can only be enhanced if others now who are here, well, what's the song? Who's gonna fill their shoes? That we look at that and we take up the mantle and we continue. President H.W. Bush, likewise.
Right.
Many people will try. I know some students who refer to former U.S. president as Eustace Grant. We see a big book, being written now that somehow tries to spin in some commentators and academics' perspective that this man isn't as bad as we were told to believe. It may or may not be true. Despite that attempt to change the narrative, we still need to recognize that we can build on the good. We can highlight those things, and even in our failures, it's just another opportunity to say, hey, this didn't work. Let's try something else.
Right.
There can be successes.
Right. I mean, as Coach Chung, it wasn't just the academic field. I know I know personally he helped quite a few young guys in particular who maybe were on the wrong side of the law, who were obviously in trouble for certain things that they did. I know personally he would try and get them jobs, when they were out on parole or released or something like that. He would actually get them, seek employment for them. So again, and I know personally he would pick kids up from home and take them to work, and when they got off work, he would make sure they got home. So, again, it was something that was done. He didn't have to do, but again, it was something that he was brought up to do, so to speak, and he's done it all his life. He did it all his life in Jamaica, the same when he was coaching over there. And I think with Alan Moore, who was the president at the time in the 80s, when he actually heard of Coach Chung, and he was the one, along with Mr. Carl Gordon, Mr. Lenny Hugh, who worked as pretty much advisors to Alan and say, yes, we need to get somebody of Coach Chung's character over here to improve our football, but also to pass on the academic side too, where we need to get our kids, so to speak, involved with school and going overseas. So it was kind of a professional atmosphere and a professional environment that we sought, or Alan sought. And Alan would probably admit he didn't know much about the football, but that's why he brought people like in to set up a program. And Alan's, even though, Alan works with a lot of kids in the electrical field. Yeah. And he had that vision from then to create something where through sports you could get girls and boys into colleges or high schools in the States to at least kickstart their lives.
But that's the thing, I mean, we look at Cayman, and many of us quickly could quote, chapter and verse. Scripture talk about to whom much is given, much is required. How many of us are prepared, to make that sacrifice, to attempt, to try to do something that is going to be positive and productive, that has a profound impact on our communities? And if we look at Mr. Moore's with his technical vocational training, the electrical part, that continuing effort. You recall the days when the first students were going off, on football scholarships. Now, we could probably count them on one hand. Today, I think there are a few more.
Well, I mean, the list of, since Coach Chung has been involved with football in Cayman, I think there's a list that's been circulating. I spoke with Joel Francis yesterday, and there's a list of about, from its beginnings, there was probably 55 to 60 kids or boys and girls that we know of that have been through high schools or universities in the States because, I wouldn't say because of Coach Chung, but he definitely had an influence in their academic careers.
And as you shared, these are not only tertiary institutions, but some very top-notch boarding schools.
Of course.
I think of a couple in the New England area as well that they themselves.
Right, and personally, I mean, I know because he helped my oldest son to go through that same boarding school preparation, and it was the best thing we did for him academically. And again, you could probably speak to quite a number of parents who went that path. And kids went on to university, and now they've graduated, they have their degrees, and they're working in the financial field or anything else around here. So I think that you'll get, as you know, the best thing is by word of mouth.
That's it, man.
And that's the key.
And the proof is in the pudding, they say, that's right.
No, definitely.
All right. Mr. Murray, when we come back from our break, maybe we invite you to share more with us. Tell us about the celebration. Tell us more about as you wish. We certainly, with great respect, open up the phone lines if you want to share your thoughts with us. 949-8837 or 1-800-534-8255. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
I didn't mean to hurt her. Work was tough. We're struggling financially. I had a few drinks to relax, but then the argument started. It was a mistake to hit her. Now I don't have a job. I don't have a wife. I can't afford to feed my family. This was a hard lesson to learn. Never forget that walking away from something unhealthy is brave. Stop the slap. Stop the cycle. Stop the violence.
The Stop the Slap campaign, proudly sponsored by Foster's IGA. Stop the slap. Stop the cycle. Stop the violence.
Who's the leader in savings?
It's Foster's. When it comes to cooking for Christmas parties and baking sweet treats for the kids, there are some people who just get it and some people who just get lost. For those who get lost, let Tanya's Kitchen and Foster's IGA help. Tanya's deliciously easy recipes will wow your guests and leave you as famous as that one reindeer. Visit tanyaskitchen.ky for tons of delicious Christmas recipes and treats. And stop by your local Foster's IGA for all of the ingredients.
At Foster's Food Fair IGA, we care. South Coast Bar and Grill up in Breakers, man, that is the place. For traditional Cayman cuisine, oh, you will love the taste. At South Coast Bar and Grill, we got conch and lobster and turtle stew. And every Sunday, come out with your family for the barbecue.
South Coast Bar and Grill by the seaside, 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. daily, lunch and dinner. Call us at 947-2517.
For Cayman and cuisine, the Talk Today is South Coast Bar and Grill.
Talk Today. But I do have some questions. Talk Today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk Today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
I'd like to talk today. Thank you for joining us, and thanks for allowing us to be able to sit there and hopefully not just entertain, but involve, inspire, and include you in our discussions as we welcome to our studio Mr. Neil Murray and talking about Coach Winston Chung. Neil, I look at things that happen in our lives, and it's not just because we're in the Christmas season. It's not just because it's a day ending in a way. We always need to do everything, I believe, that we can to make it better for everybody else, not just for ourselves. Mm-hmm. Because if we make it better for other people, it's going to be better for us as well. That road that has been paved and access opened up, it's good for those people who are going to use that, mm-hmm. but it's good for the spillover effect for everybody else. Likewise, with a society that is educated not just academically, but in sense of principles and ethics and ethos and the values, and whether it's through sport. I believe football in particular, we get it. But having examples like you shared, people like yourselves and the mentors you had like Coach Chung, it gives us a chance to build on a legacy.
Yeah, well, definitely. I think that's part of the Caymanian society, in my view, mm-hmm. is that, we were always raised, to do that. Our parents raised us to be better people, and within that character of being a better person, then it's setting the an example for the ones that are coming up. For some people, it didn't stick. For others who it's a natural occurrence, they don't have to think twice about it. And that's how being raised in Cayman, that's how we grew up. Of course, we didn't have all the luxuries of all the technology that's being offered now, so it was pretty much a word of mouth thing. It was whether teachers, it was parents, it was your friends' parents, or it was just leaders in the community. Again, it's something that was instilled in us at a young age, and it wasn't really something that they sat down and told you this is what you have to do, but you learned that through experience. And I think that's just part and parcel of of making something of yourself, is to obviously try and bring others up to what you experience, and to also improve it for them and make it better for the other ones that are coming. Now it's a little bit more difficult, I guess, because of the technology and things like that. It was a little, although our times were a little bit harder, it was a little bit easier then too, because everything had to be face to face. There was no, phones that you could see people on. There was no computers, things like that. So, if you learn from a parent, whether through a mistake, then you wouldn't make that mistake again. So
you got time to reflect on things as well. As you were saying, I'm thinking of an example a coach shared. It was to do with an application to a program, and I don't recall every detail, but there was pen and paper to fill out the application, whatever that was. There was a physical trip to the post office. You had to weigh this packet and get the right amount of postage, and then it was sent, and whether it took weeks or months, it seemed like it took forever, and then it had to come back. And in that process, you stewed, you were excited, and then once it came back, there was something hopeful or positive, and it was open, and you had to respond to it. And it wasn't instant, and I think as you were talking, there's a chance that unfolded during then for more nurturing, more counseling, more better development. Now we press a button, and in a nanosecond or less, it's to you, and you're expected to respond. And
and it's all about time too. People don't have time to do this or don't have time to do that, and I think that's what that was Alan's vision too for football, where it should go. Coach Chung was a perfect a fit for us. The players of that age, back in the 80s, there was a lot of talent. We just weren't organized to the point where we knew what we wanted. We'll, show up for a club team, we show up for a national team, go play a couple of games, and that was it. But he brought that professional attitude, and he didn't really have to do a lot in terms of the players, because everybody had the talent. It was just really molding that vision of, okay, guys, you have the talent to do much more than what you're doing. And I think for most of the players, myself included, when he did come, it was easy to fall into what he wanted. As I said, Joel and I met with Alan the other day and went over a few things, and whatever Alan was saying is what we grew to believe. Coach Chung was, and I'm not, there's a lot of coaches like this, but Coach Chung was one that, you'd go after practice, for instance, you'd go in the sea to recover, and he'd be there with you, and he'd be talking and old stories when he was growing up in Jamaica, and you became friends with him. Talked about certain things, and when you got to the field, once you stepped over the line, that was it. He was the coach, you were the player. So it didn't matter if you just spoken to him 10 minutes before practice and laughing with him about a joke or something like that. When you got to that field, it was, okay, he would come down hard on you if you messed up. Didn't matter who it was the most talented player, whatever. If you didn't follow instructions, you'd be on the sideline. And it wasn't something that we held personally. It wasn't like, forget this, I got other things to do, and just walk off. We all respected him as a coach, loved him as a mentor, as a father figure, so to speak, for a lot of the guys also. So again, that's what he brought to us, and we were able to kind of convert that rather quickly. I don't know if you remember, we played some big games back in those days. We're still trying to factor out when actually Coach Chung came, but I remember in 1989, the touring Brazilian under-21 national team with Bebeto, who went on to the 94 World Cup and won it with Brazil. He was in that team, and this was a team that we didn't know much about, simply because we didn't have the technology and the TV, but it was Brazil. They were touring the Caribbean, so Coach Chung got them invited over to Cayman to play. Unfortunately, I was in college. Well, not unfortunately.
No, trust me.
I was in college that time. I had just come back from Christmas break in January, and he called me and he says, I have an opportunity to play Brazilian under-21, and I couldn't get time off from school, so to speak, because it was just beginning the semester. But that team that played, he brought over Alan Skilcole from Jamaica. He brought over Russell Ladderpley, who went on to World Cup fame with Trinidad and Portugal, and Leon St. Louis from Trinidad. So it was a good team, and there was the players here, Lee and Easton Russell and Lloyd Ramon and Ronston Haylock, Chris Johnson, which is Bolo, everybody knows him as Bolo, Pepe, Loxley Haylock, Chummy, all those guys, got an opportunity to play against Brazilian under 21s. And then later that year, Santos from Brazil visited, and that was with Socrates, who had just come from the World Cup in '86, Brazilian fame. So again, when we played these teams, it wasn't like now we find, with courting some of the national teams, some of the kids will say, okay, we're playing Jamaica, we're playing Mexico, we're playing US, and it's like mentally they've already tuned out or they've lost the game. In those days, we were fired up. We wanted to play these teams. We wanted to play against guys who we've seen on TV. Of course, we're playing on the Annex Field, which isn't like it is today, but but you had to make do with what you had. But again, that was another thing with those teams, is that we wanted to play. It didn't matter who you put in front of us. We'd go out and play, do our best. Not always come out victorious, but knowing that we had played now against Socrates, who played in the '86 World Cup and '82 World Cup. Brazil fame, and other players on that team. This was a professional team. Most of us haven't seen a professional team before. So these are the things, and as I say, we as a team we went out there and we played our best. We lost 2-0. We drew 2-2 with the Brazilian team, and we lost 2-0 to Santos. But again, it was that drive to be the best that you could be, and that's what Coach Chung brought to those teams. And of course, the younger guys now, the Anthony Ramon generation, the Floyd Webb generation, Rohan
I like
Clark.
you said the younger guys. Auntie.
Carlos Welcome and Sean Melanio and Manley O'Connelly, Clark, Rohan Clark, those guys, those were our younger generation. But what's interesting to note is that when we actually beat Jamaica in '94, Coach Chung wasn't our coach then. It was Ken Fogarty. But if you look at the team that played, it was a mixture of, I would say, us older guys, or I would say experienced guys, Lee and myself and, Greg Ebanks from West Bay and Cecil Walton. And then we had Anthony Ramon, we had, Gary Whitaker, Carlos Welcome, Rohan Clark, those guys who were the younger guys when we started. So, we probably one of the biggest results in our football history. So again, but that was a team that Coach Chung had pretty much put together from those early days. Unfortunately, we didn't improve on that and we didn't develop that. But again, it just goes to show that what could have been if circumstances were different. A lot of us, some of us, could have gone on to the professional ranks. In my view, anyway.
As you were sharing, we are indeed talking to Neil Murray, and hopefully people will reflect on this and use it as an example, as an opportunity to see what we, as individuals, can do, what we collectively can do, but also maybe take a page from someone, especially if someone who has materially and directly, impacted Cayman in a positive way, and reach out. If you're a politician, reach across the aisle. If you're a student in one school, there's another student in another school.
Right.
Together, look at the greater good. And I was thinking to three sort of football-related incidents, right? And indirectly, not unlike the visit by Muhammad Ali, right? But I think to the Ed Bush broadcast from Belize, when all I can remember, listen to Ed Bush, and every minute, he's Renard Moxham. Okay. The team didn't win, but the fact that this little place, made what seemed to be a historical trip and was being broadcast, and we were listening to our radios, right?
Right.
And then you look back to when was it Fort Lauderdale Strikers came and played at, I call it the agriculture grounds still. Right? Smitty and those guys were playing. I saw talent. Well, okay, I'm a young little fellow, but these guys are playing against names that are recognizable.
Of course,
World Cup players. Exhibiting talent, like you said, that could, should, would had our communities rallied behind. Right? And then you come back to the 9-4 victory. But yet, where are we today, and why are we no further ahead? Not just in football, but in academics, in other athletics.
Right.
And I have to wonder, all the finger pointing, are we looking at the man in the mirror? And that's not a political statement, but it's an indictment against us all if we're not doing the very best. And this is why, to you, I always say this, jovial but sincerely. I like your, what is it they call it, a staying power, that drive, that humility, that desire. It could be the primary school league with the little ones that the ball sometimes seems bigger than them, or it could be that seasoned veteran who has played and traveled and worn the national jersey. You're right there, consistent. Maybe more of us could borrow on that page as well.
Well, it was interesting. You spoke about George H.W. Bush, who obviously passed away this week, or last week. And I was listening to something last night, and I think it was James Baker, who was his Secretary of State, I think.
During that time. Yeah.
And he said, of course, they were in that war, the Desert Storm, that conflict with Iraq, and I think afterwards they came back and they did a parade for the military, and George Bush said he's not going. They were saying, why are you not going? He said, because it's not about me, it's about the military.
Yeah.
And it kind of and that's how Coach Chung was. He didn't take any accolades. I was actually speaking to his wife last night, Miss Barbara, from Miami, and I said to her, Miss Barbara, we don't have a lot of pictures of Coach Chung. I didn't have any pictures. We've been digging up a few now over the past couple of weeks since Coach Chung's passing. So we've been getting some pictures, but she says no, he never took pictures with teams. And I have one picture that is the under-19 boys that Floyd Webb passed on to me last week with the younger boys, so to speak, and Coach Chung is there. And that's probably one of the few photographs that you'll see him with the team, because Miss Barbara said he never took pictures with the teams because he was never one to be, that's Coach, So again, that comparison with George Bush and Coach Chung, that kind of hit me yesterday. Coach was the same way. Never wanted any credit, never wanted any accolades. He just wanted to see the team do well, and then the individuals do well, and then go on to something better than what they had.
There's a wonderful lady from East End I had the privilege of working with, and every now and again I get a chance to, as small as Cayman is, you don't realize how big it is, so you don't always see. But she always, on a daily basis, her scripture was, by their fruits you shall know them.
Mm-hmm.
And my own mother will say that, but I reflect on her voice, and she talks about it. And that's why people like you, as I say, if you have somebody who influences you and you exhibit a certain level of tenacity and humility, a certain level of drive and determination, a certain level of character and acumen, and a certain level of ethos and integrity and ethics and so on, that's probably because it was influenced by somebody that, sort of reinforced that, emphasized that.
Right.
Parent or coach. And we need more of that. Now, as Miss Susan reminds me that you get caught up in these things and you get inspired, you got to take a break. I'll ignore the cameras, and don't worry, Miss Susan. I'll get handsome as I get older. But when we come back, if you want to give us a shout, hey, by all means do so. 949-8037 or 1-800-534-8255. The wonderful company of Mr. Neil Murray to talk about Coach Winston Chung. Please stay tuned for Talk Today.
For more than 30 years, Rotary Central has worked along with our business community, business advisors, media, and schools, introducing over 500 students annually to the universe of business. Students are guided to create, operate, and deliver products to market. Today, thousands of Caymanian business professionals point to junior achievement as their introduction to business. When you support Rotary Central fundraisers like the Music Extravaganza, you support Cayman's next generation of business professionals. High schoolers learn human resources, sales, marketing, accounting, compliance, legal skills, manufacturing. Cayman's next generation business professionals find purpose and get inspiration through Rotary Central Junior Achievement programs. Junior Achievement, another inspiration project by Rotary Central.
I didn't mean to hurt her. Work was tough. We're struggling financially. I had a few drinks to relax, but then the argument started. It was a mistake to hit her. Now I don't have a job. I don't have a wife. I can't afford to feed my family. This was a hard lesson to learn. Never forget that walking away from something unhealthy is brave. Stop to slap. Stop the cycle. Stop the violence.
The Stop the Slap campaign has been proudly sponsored by Cayman National Bank. Stop the slap. Stop the cycle. Stop the violence.
It's more than what we do. It's who we are. We were your official bank of the quincentennial celebrations in 2003. We were your Bank of the Year 4 times. We were voted as the inaugural top employer in 2010. We were the inaugural Business of the Year awardee in 2017. Who are we? We are Cayman National, your local bank, proudly serving you for over 40 years. It's because of you that our journey continues.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back to Talk Today. Thanks for joining us. And, as I get a chance to speak to Neil Murray, I hope, Neil, that our society, honestly, will look very consciously, very deliberately, especially now, at our people and reach out and find a way to say, listen, this person, male or female, young or just young at heart, who may need some little extra little thing, a little guidance, maybe a little word of counsel, something. And if we can do that, then we'll do it, and then that person recognizes, hey, I benefited from this thing, let me do that. It may take a year, it may take, 10 years, it may take a generation or more. But if each person was to do something that enhances and improves the greater good, so much better.
Right, exactly. The one underlying factor that Coach Chung brought to us too was that he wanted us to love the game.
Yeah.
And dealing with the Premier League now for 19 years. My son played a couple of years, and CUC is doing it for this is our 14th year sponsorship. Yeah. But just dealing with the kids, it's trying to get them to understand that you got to love the game. You have to, and just speaking about football, because I'm sure it goes for any other sport.
True.
But you have to love the game. You have to be able to sacrifice certain things. If practice isn't convenient, try and make it work, or go do stuff on your own. And this is the thing that I said that he brought. You have to love the game. Even at our youth national teams now, we're trying to emphasize that idea of you love the game. It doesn't make sense to go out there half-hearted and come to practice and complain and moan and stuff like that. So you have to love the game.
All right. Mr. Murray, we do have a caller joining us. As we go to the phone, say good afternoon and welcome. You're on Talk Today.
Good afternoon, Sterling. Good afternoon, Mr. Murray.
Good afternoon, sir. How are you today?
I'm great. I'm great.
All right.
It's a good topic today,
Thanks.
Coach was a father. He was the words you can't find for Coach Young, So he sadly missed by me. I know my home. Because I take him as a father, he take me as a son. So I never have an Easter day in training. I never know if I go and play to the last minute of the meeting in the dressing room. So to me, he more in a mentor. And I could remember, I will never forget, he had the best under 19 team in the Caribbean, in the world. You see, Cayman. The system in Cayman, we love to tear down things, Sterling, and we don't want to build back. You see the under-19 team that we had, that was the future for being a national team for years in the Cayman. Not saying I was playing or I was this. We was the only team that had a draw with Haiti, right? Haiti gave Jamaica 10. They went on and gave... It hurt me that Sunday night when we played against Haiti in Cayman, that Haiti couldn't beat us, and it was draw. I cried, Sterling. I got photo taking ball off there, center forward, tie against Haiti in Cayman game. I taking the ball off his tie in the goal. Just taking it off with my hand, like ball was on our side, And Coach Chung was in that dressing room, and a Caymanian come and say, I should not start. And Coach Chung say, he went to Haiti, he should start. My own Cayman, say I shouldn't start. And I was the one that leave Cayman to go Haiti. Everybody was afraid to go Haiti. right? I played in Haiti, and I did well in Haiti. Not well, I did great in Haiti, where we supposed to win that game in Haiti. Unfortunate, a foreigner took away the penalty, called himself a Cayman on my papers, took away the penalty, and the Trinidadian referee look at us and smile and say, disgrace. The 20,000 people in the stand that night were for Cayman because the way how we were playing Sterling, the Haitian was outplayed, and we got a penalty in the first half, and we kick it away by a foreigner. You know, we love to destroy and tear down everything. I don't know who will like me or say about me. You know, I've been representing Cayman from now 11 years old. I wasn't a greatest goalkeeper in the world, but I get results. You know. No?
Come on.
So that's how I made 2 cents, you know, or what I'm going to say, because he's a great man, you know, and when I went away to college, he helped me get my scholarship. I went on. He came to a final in Miami. We made the final. The first year our school made the final. We played against Miami-Dade. For 3.5 hours, that game went over a goal score, Sterling. In the afternoon, coach say, when you look on our bench, you say Winston Chung on the bench, the man shake and drop on the ground, Mr. Sterling. When he says Chung was over on our side. In that game, play for 3 hours. You know how American call leaders.
Yeah.
They have keep on playing to somebody else score, you know.
Right.
In that game, I was up and down, Teddy Mitchell hit the crossbar. 2 times I cried, man, and I called it the bomb, and I said, no, man. And Miami-Dade had a set of American players, and they had high class players. They had a goalkeeper they had a professional goalkeeper, a World Cup goalkeeper for them too. You know? And I was a left baby. I was just Cayman up against quality, because Miami-Dade have quality players, and Neil know that himself. You know?
Yeah, man.
And unfortunately, we lost again in the last stretch going down. In the last 3.5 hours, we lost a 1-0 in that game. I cried, man. I cried, Sterling. I cried, brother.
The love of the game, man. The love of the game.
Yeah, man. I love it. I just match for the football. Neil know it. I used to referee. But sickness got me on a hole, but I'm still willing to go because I'm not crippled. I'm willing to go. I'm still willing to go. I'm not giving up. I stay young. I'm still a little baby. I'm 25 years old. I stay young. And I'm not finished. I'm still coming back strong.
There you go, man. There you go. You hold the faith, man. All right?
Yes, man. That's Neil O'Bye for me, too.
All right. Thanks, Eddie.
Blessings to you, man. Blessings to you. But you see, we talk about the love of the game. But it's not only that passion, but I think that was inculcated in the players because of coaches and their mentoring. Not just on the field, not just in the training, but after. And I think of all the things.
It was that family. Yeah. I mean, there's countless stories about Coach Chung helping out. I mean, one story in particular, if we're not over time yet, is I know we used to train at 5 o'clock on Saturday mornings, and we used to have 45 guys out there. And I remember once, I can't remember who it was or whatever. I was trying to talk with Lee the other day to try to remember, and I remember they lived in Central. And Coach Chung, when he first came here, they gave him a Dodge Diplomat, which was an old police car. Yeah. And when he used to go down to Central, of course, those days everybody just scattered, because this was the old police car. So anyway, 5 o'clock in the morning, and there was one player that didn't show up. He didn't show up for a couple of weeks. Coach Chung would say, "Well, what happened to this player? What's wrong with it?" And I said, "Well, we said, Coach, probably, we're not sure. It's probably something at home." So Coach drove down after practice, and he met with the mother and said, we need this player at training. She says, well, he can't leave until his chores are done, which is early in the morning. Yeah. So Coach said, don't worry, we'll take care of it. Next Saturday, got the whole team, went down there, took care of chores and more. Yep. And and the mother was so grateful and stuff. And see, that's the thing that he brought.
Family.
Exactly. Yeah. We moved together. Did things together, took care of that. So the player, and every Saturday after that, there was a couple of players that always went before, make sure his chores were done, walk over to Annex Field, start practice.
But it's something, as you say that too, that home environment. It wasn't to deny the child, it was to instill discipline and responsibility, right? And more of us as parents need to ensure that we're doing something similar.
Of course.
And reinforce through whatever organization we're in. So on the 12th, Wednesday?
Wednesday, 12th of December, 6 o'clock at the Lion Center. If you have the time, stop by for a couple of minutes, couple hours. Again, it's just going to be short reflections on how Coach influenced a majority of generations, and it's just a time to celebrate his life. And everyone's invited. No invitations necessary. No, no special events or anything like that. It's just, as I say, a simple seating and listen to what people have to say. And if somebody wants to say something, then the mic is open.
Thanks very much for sharing with us, extending the invitation. Hopefully, reminding some people that as we recognize, you can be gone but not forgotten, and what you've done can. Continue.
I just have to make one little plug. If anybody has any pictures of Coach Chung, please send them to me. My email is nmurray@cuc.ky. That's nmurray@cuc.ky. We want to do have a picture collage and a PowerPoint, and we don't have a lot of photos, unfortunately.
All right. Well, hopefully we can remind the public for you. But if between now and then, anything we can do. Neil, thanks again, and to you and the people like yourselves, for continuing to hold the faith.
Yeah, thanks very much, Dwayne.
All right. Pause and take a break. When we come back, rejoin us after the news. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Radio Cayman. Radio Cayman's newsroom. These are the biggest stories right now.
The Leader of the Opposition, the Honourable Ezard Miller, departs today for the UK, where he and Mr Alva Sekou, the Deputy Leader of the Opposition, will be joining the Cayman Islands team for constitutional talks that begin on Friday, December 7th. Mr Sekou has already departed for the UK. In international headlines, a top official at the European Union's highest court advised today that Britain can change its mind about leaving the European Union, boosting hopes among pro-EU campaigners in the UK that Brexit can be stopped. Prime Minister Theresa May's government insists it will never reverse the decision to leave, but May faces a tough battle to win backing in Parliament before lawmakers vote next week on whether to accept or to reject the divorce agreement she has negotiated with the bloc. Also today, in a UK parliamentary first, British lawmakers have found the government in contempt of Parliament for refusing to publish advice from the country's top law officer about Brexit. The House of Commons voted 311 to 293 in favour of a motion by opposition parties censoring the government for failing to reveal the full guidance from Attorney General Geoffrey Cox, despite an earlier vote by Parliament calling them to do so. In Washington, D.C., members of the public lined up before sunrise to pay their respects to George H.W. Bush, the 41st President of the United States. An honor guard is standing watch beside Bush's casket. The funeral is on Wednesday. Those are your headlines. From Radio Cayman's newsroom, I'm April Cummings.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands. What's happening in your community? News and information, music and more. You can find us. www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Radio Cayman is your choice, your voice for today's biggest news. Radio Cayman.
Oh, this Christmas, Kirk Freeport is wishing everyone peace, love, joy, and $40,000 in prizes. Win one of the multiple $5,000 and $1,000 cash prizes just for shopping at your favorite Kirk Freeport store. Purchases of $100 before noon on Christmas Eve qualify for all remaining prize draws. There's even a Rolex watch prize draw on January 2nd, and loads of other great prizes. Peace, love, joy, and the island's biggest Christmas sweepstakes. Only from Kirk Freeport. Full details on kirkfreeport.com. Merry Christmas from Kirk Freeport.
South Coast Bar and Grill up in Breakers, man, that is the place for traditional Cayman cuisine. Oh, you will love the taste. At South Coast Bar and Grill, we got conch and lobster and turtle stew. And every Sunday, come out with your family for the barbecue.
South Coast Bar and Grill by the seaside, 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. daily, lunch and dinner. Call us at 947-2517.
For Cayman and cuisine, the talk today is South Coast Bar and Grill.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back to Talk Today. At 1:30, the president of the Cayman Islands Seafarers Association, Mr. Denison Tibbetts, will be our guest. Get a chance to chat with him. Looking forward to that. But between now and then, hey, the schedule may say one thing, but as Miss Normandy reminds me, the show must go on, whether I'm here or not, whether the guests are here or not. Hey, no be so. Maybe by default, but certainly there's an opportunity to invite you to be a part of our next half-hour discussion and some open line. 949-8037 or 1-800-534-8255. We have a WhatsApp. I still remember the number, 925-3261. I think that's the number. If you send us a WhatsApp, whether it's a voice note or otherwise, always share it with our listeners if that is your intent. Now, I don't think I was going that long, and the last 2 days or so, really grateful for many of you reaching out, sharing some things, whether good, bad, or indifferent. I consciously, very deliberately, try to stay off, that digital frontier, avoid going in and checking up on whatever's happening in the news or the social media, which almost seems, it has to be an oxymoron without question. But to come back and to find out that, a lot of things happen. And the one thing that was, perhaps above all, not even as much as the port is this notion that there's a proposal or an application or some, desire to excavate and remove, a large portion of the Barkas area as they go developing in and continue in that seemingly stands towards progress and the like. Now, one individual said, hey, these things happen. There's always going to be competing forces. He said he was present when the Honourable Premier was talking as the new plane landed, that yes, we're going to have to break a few eggs to, make an omelette with the port. There'll be some environmental consequences, but we'll do what we can to mitigate it. Hey, that happens. But he said when he was at the meeting in West Bay as the discussion about the Barkas area, to see not just the audience present and their active, very vocal, but respectful, sort of sentiments being expressed, but those who since have likewise shared, and the younger people in particular, not just talking about the environmental concerns and considerations, but equally the potential economic consequences and the need to strike a better, perhaps more, sort of lasting balance between development and progress, between doing something now and maybe doing it in a generation or two. And he shared that it seems that some people are, for the most part, seemingly, oblivious to any action other than what it is that they desire. So let me hear from you, whether it's about the port or it's about Barkas, whether it's about the dump or whether it's about education or whether it's about anything else, 949-8037 or 1-800-534-8255. 1-800-534-8255. It's some open line as we shared 1:30, our schedule, and certainly appreciative of Mr. Denison Tibbetts. He's going to join us at 1:30. That's shared, and we'll have the opportunity to speak with him. Maybe Ms. Anthea, the office manager there, will join us as well. But between now and then, let's have some open line. 949-8037, 1-800-534-8255. If you were joining us earlier, and we had a chance to speak to Mr. Neil Murray, again, there's a celebration of life for Coach Winston Chung next week. Wednesday at Lions Center, 6 o'clock. So it's an open invitation for all on Sunday. You could probably be in traffic anyway, so may as well just, make a better, more productive use of the time and share, with your friends and colleagues, and recognizing that we can take pages from the lives of others who are equally, contributing and who have been influenced by those who too have contributed to our society. 8949-8037, 1-800-534-8255, or you can WhatsApp 925-3261. Now, as we're talking about the whole issue of, the discussion emanating from someone sharing me, almost some 200,000 or thereabouts, not quite there yet, but if we round it off, close enough, square feet of turtle grass and excavation that would take place with the project in Barkas was approved. One individual in this morning's sort of discussion with me said, why is it that we have these different processes for approvals? We'll have on one hand, something that goes to the Central Planning Authority, and then on another hand, something that may be just within the remit of cabinet. And why is it that we don't have a better system? And why isn't it that there's more public participation? And perhaps, as she was sharing, she said, if you look at certain parts of the world, there are, for want of a better word, public hearings on certain applications, and it's a requirement for these things to unfold within the civic centers or the like, so that the public can have a chance. Now, she says it doesn't mean that there are any great participation, because by and large, many people are busy and either unaware and some are certainly unconcerned. But at least it gives a semblance that if you want to know, you want to contribute, you want to ask a question, you want to get involved, at least it would appear that you would have that opportunity. But likewise, if we're doing things that potentially could affect the country on a national scale, it doesn't matter if it's happening on one particular island or in one particular part of a district. They are national issues. And she shared that it is important. Just like when we look at the port or the dump, or whether this application in Barkas or other places, there is this notion that we need to refrain from looking at these things as if they are simply an issue for West Bay or Georgetown or Bordentown or some other part of Grand Cayman, or even on one of the sister islands, because they are potentially issues that could affect us all, economically, environmental, or safety, or security, or stability, or prosperity, or social harmony. All these things come into play. And are they things that are being considered when we are looking at such applications? 8949-8037, 1-800-534-8255, or you can WhatsApp 925-3261. Now, as we, return and get settled and look at all the things that are scheduled for, now until, I take another break, a lot of good things we're working on, but I want to say again a special thanks publicly to, all those individuals who sat in. We had our one colleague, Ray, do the show a couple of times. We had a great stewardship of Mr. O.C., Mr. Gilbert, and Ms. Catherine Tyson. I think when we look at her in particular, we see someone who has a great on-air presence, and perhaps, as that caller reminded us earlier when we were talking about football, maybe as a people we don't always champion our own and celebrate them and find ways to improve them. Maybe if we did more, whether it's in football or the media, whether it's in academics or athletics or the arts or other areas, we could truly build a stronger, healthier, more productive and prosperous nation. Now, if we're not doing that, why is that? 8949-8837 or 1-800-534-8255. You can also send us your thoughts on our WhatsApp, 925-3261, and email likewise. talktoday@candw.ky. How you share your thoughts with us, and certainly appreciate your contribution. We'll pause quickly, take a very short break. When we come back, we'll continue our discussion. So please stay tuned for Talk Today.
Brandsource Home Gallery has been appointed the exclusive Cayman supplier for Duravit bathroom products. Duravit is the leading international manufacturer of bathroom ceramics, tubs, and showers, recognized around the world for beautiful, functional products. Winner of top industry awards, Duravit collaborates with leading European designers to provide the most elegant and innovative bath products. If you're ready to bring style, comfort, and innovation to your bathroom, visit Brandsource Home Gallery to see the new Duravit showroom and meet the in-house bath designer. Whether you're planning a functional family bathroom or a personal spa retreat, browse the Duravit collection and be inspired. Brandsource Home Gallery, delivering a new standard in custom designed bathrooms. Brandsource Home Gallery, Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park.
Cayman National would like to invite you to their 16th annual Home for the Christmas event, Tuesday, December 4th at 6 p.m. at their Elgin Avenue location. Celebrate the meaning of Christmas and ring in the holiday season with charity donations and festive performances by UCCI Pandemics, the Cayman Arts Festival, and Dream Chasers Cayman. Light refreshments will be served. Join Cayman National as they bring the community together this December 4th at 6 p.m. for the Home for the Christmas event.
I can tell you
Williams Production presents the Crab Family in Cayman, Monday, December 31st at the Lions Center in support of Adasi. Kickoff time is at 7 p.m. Tickets are only $25 and $35 at the gate. Purchase your tickets now at the Christian Enlightenment Center and Funky Dance. It's all brought to you by the Office of the Premier, Ministry of District Administration, Tourism, and Transport, Value Med Pharmacy, Cayman First, Uncle Clem's, Hides and Son, Praise 87.9 FM, Tony's Toys, and Radio Cayman. The Crab Family in the Cayman Islands, Monday, December 31st at the Lions Center.
sometimes it takes a mountain. Sometimes a troubled sea.
Tune in every Monday through Friday from 3 to 6 p.m. for Radio Cayman's Super Jam Show, the #1 drive time entertainment show on your radio, featuring Will Sinatra. Enjoy a mix of pop, hip-hop, reggae, and calypso, and an entertainment trivia section. The Super Jam Show is fueled by the proud sponsorship of Merengue Town. It's time to feel the rhythm, time to feel the vibes. It's time for Merengue Town.
Did you know that recycling collection containers are located island-wide in Grand Cayman? The Department of Environmental Health program is an integral part of DEH's waste management responsibility in the Cayman Islands. Start your recycling program at home today. Put your cardboard items in appropriate DEH recycling containers at all Foster's supermarkets, Kirk Market, or Hurley's Grand Harbor. Help keep Cayman clean. Reduce, reuse, and recycle. For more information about recycling, go to www.deh.gov.ky.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back to Talk Today. 949-8037, 1-800-534-8255. Or you can WhatsApp 925-3261. Share your thoughts with us and invite you to be part of it now. Looking forward to having Mr. Denniston Tibbetts join us. He's the president of the Cayman Seafarers Association at 1:30, so we're going to have a chance to chat with him. Looking forward to that. Men would have great respect for seafarers, and Mr. Denniston as a person, equally. But it's open line, 949-8037. During a quick, short break, someone just sent me a message in relation to the old issue of development. And as I looked at what was shared, the person says, Cayman sort of over the last few decades has experienced much development. And is of the view that perhaps part and parcel we're not seeing it from a long-term perspective. We can look back and see, West Bay Road, for instance, is developed and being redeveloped, and what was 3 stories is now 5, now 7, now 10. How long before it becomes 50 stories? And the push the person shares is that we're obviously cognizant of the limited land space, but are we conscious of the impact that development is having both on the environment and infrastructure, on the costs to the country and the government to having to provide these necessary things to accommodate this ever-increasing pace of development. But equally, what about the social costs? Access to the beach is obviously an issue the person shares. But what about sunlight? He says everybody now driving along Westbury Road has been complaining for years that you no longer can see the beach to see. Some have even shared, depending on the time of day, you don't even see the sun. It seems to be dark. And that's not even going through the tunnels. And like the person has equally shared that when we're looking at this, will these consequences be so material that it may cause people to have some ill effects on their health? Just questions. But more so, down the road, he shared, when we start to develop again and redevelop, and tear down and rebuild and the like, will it cost us more financially and otherwise? Will it be an instance, he says, where when we're looking at this, that the country has sort of given up more than what it gets in return? I guess his words, if he was using it, would this be some sort of a Pyrrhic victory for us? And if that cost is too great, are we looking at it? Now he says it's easy, and it probably should be our first recourse to point fingers at our leadership, our political leadership, our business leadership. But are we also pointing fingers at ourselves and asking what is it that we're looking for down the road? And equally, as he shares, is this an instance where we are so enamored with that glittery, shining new thing, that potential windfall that we'll have, that we're no longer concerned with the cost to get it, or worse, perhaps, I just infer from what I read and reread from what he shared, are we equally more concerned about the win and the victory to us and to our group and to our sort of profit as it is when compared to the impact on others? So maybe not so much a concern for others, but appreciate the fellas' input. Maybe one day he may inspire others to do likewise. Hey, 949-8037, 1-800-534-8255. Or you can WhatsApp 925-3261. And if you want to share your thoughts as this gentleman did, well, go right ahead. Certainly do my best to read it and interpret it and understand it and relate to you as you want it. Now, he also sent a picture of an ongoing development that was seemingly just taking shape. Certainly, in the short time I was away, a lot has transpired on that particular site. And he says, here's a picture. The question isn't, he says, who's benefiting from this? That's very obvious. The developer, the people who are going to be employed to build, this development, people who supply materials, but also the people who are going to buy. And they'll get a piece of, paradise. They may decide to rent or sell or later on, and they'll make an economic profit. But I guess his question is, would it be worse down the road for all of us if we don't look at the potential impact? Well, your thoughts. 8949-8037 or 1-800-534-8255 or WhatsApp 925-3261 and share your thoughts with us as we invite you to be a part of a discussion. Now, there was one or two other items that I got a chance to look at this morning, as a few of you have reached out and sharing some of your views. It's amazing, not how much, not only how much happens in a day or in a week or a month or even a year, but how much our people are aware of and are paying attention to, even though we may not think, because we don't hear their voices publicly, or they may not necessarily be banging in the gongs and the like, but they are aware of what is happening. And when people express their views, not only about the things that make the headlines or the things that are getting the publicity because there may be an active marketing campaign to keep it in the fore or to create a certain narrative, but equally the things that are happening and unfolding and seemingly only known to a small subset. It's amazing to see how many other people are aware of those things. 8949-8037 or 1-800-534-8255. We'll have, as we shared earlier, Mr. Denison Tibbetts, the president of the Cayman Islands Seafarers Association, join us momentarily. Maybe with Ms. Susan's acquiescence, take the break a little bit before past. Have Mr. Denison join us and not inconvenience him any longer. So please stay tuned for Talk Today.
Matt Brown and Rita Estevanovich star in the Cayman Christmas Comedy Show. A gift from the CNCF to you. Yay! Christmas Comedy Show. I am excited.
Well, I don't want to see it.
Too bad. You're in it.
Me in a show?
It's the bestest, most festivus Christmas show ever. Coming to your district between December 11th to 16th. Visit Facebook/Cayman Culture for all the details. Yes, I am going. Definitely I am going.
Honey, our fridge has stopped working again. Everything in the freezer is melting. We need to get this repaired right away. I'm calling Brand Source Service.
When you need the very best appliance service, call Brand Source Service at 623-5000. Offering service and installation of all brands and models of appliances. Brand Source Service is Cayman's source for appliance parts and repairs with qualified and experienced technicians and the island's largest stock of appliance parts. Brand Source Service will have your repair completed in a flash. So, whatever the problem is, call the experts at 623-5000. Brand Source Service, Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park. Telephone 623-5000.
King Sports Center takes pride in being more than just an ordinary gymnasium. For 14 years, their multi-purpose facility has been providing the community with a variety of sporting, recreational, and relaxation activities. King Sports Center has a bowling alley, lounge bar, multi-purpose rooms, powerhouse gym, rock climbing wall, bungee jumping, a 10,000 square foot rink, and so much more. For more information on the variety of services, call their friendly staff today at 946-5464 or email kings@candw.ky or visit www.kingsportscenter.com. King Sports Center, your one-stop shop for fitness, recreation, and relaxation.
Radio Cayman, maintaining the innovation.
On a daily basis, making it easy to connect with you, our listeners. Add us to WhatsApp today, 925-3261. That's 925-3261.
Radio Cayman.
Send a text or voice note.
Can I send a request, please?
You don't really have to ask us. Just send a request.
This is a shout out to my ex.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
Radio Cayman, maintaining the innovation.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back to Talk Today. Thanks for joining us and have the wonderful privilege to be able to welcome again to our studio Mr. Denison Tibbetts in his capacity as the president of the Cayman Islands Seafarers Association, together with the office manager, Ms. Antia. I think, thankfully, many of us have, and even those in my age bracket and younger, still have a strong deference for our seafarers, still recognize not just the contribution that they made, but the contributions that they're making and that sacrifice still. Mr. Denison, I hope that our society never lose sight of that. Not just the Caymanians, but all in Sunday who come and walk our shores appreciate that we are where we are. Not only because of the money that was sent back home, but because of that incredible, personal sacrifice.
Money that we sent back home, remember?
Yeah, the money.
Your dad.
Yeah. And it's sometimes things get tight, but let's hopefully.
I'll begin by being like number one Cayman Brack. he always calls it, "Hello, Grand Cayman, Cayman Bragg, and Little Cayman." DT says hello. It's good to be here. When I was trying to contact you about coming on, I thought maybe you had just deserted me because I didn't get no reply until. But I'm happy to be here, and so is Anthea.
Thank you, man. And I responded to you as, and hopefully other people don't be offended, but you're probably one of the first responses I sent out.
Well, that's good. Of course, all the others, I'm sure, wasn't my age anyhow.
But that wasn't the only reason. But yes, I believe, people who are at a certain age require us to be respectful because of that, but equally because of who they are, and it's just the way it is.
Of course, you don't have to call me Mr. Dennis. That'll make me feel so old, Although, as them West Bay would say, I could be your daddy, Anyway, I'd just like to begin by thanking the general body, the general public, for the tremendous support that the Seafarers got on Saturday night for their annual Christmas raffle and benefit. It was fantastic. We did so much to let it happen, but even with what we did and prepared for it, we were still overwhelmed. I mean, the people who turned up, we can comfortably accommodate about 250. And if it had to be more than 400 people there, we had to put them in a little side room that was hot like fire. But everybody was fed, and Douglas was playing, and they danced until almost midnight. So, again, I have to say many, many thanks to the general public for the support. Incidentally, I got permission from the piece of property next door to have it cleared and prepared, so we had more parking facilities and all that. So we tried our best, but we were still overwhelmed because of the crowd, But that's a good sign, I suppose.
I think it also speaks to, and maybe you guide me so that I understand it, because with a question, if I get accused of maybe seeing the seafarers in a light that is maybe not shared by everybody, that could be true. But there is a resolve and a resilience in the border politic of the seafarers, in the men and their wives, the legacy, the contributions. But as a wider community, we're supportive of the seafarers. We recognize the contributions, whether it's the continuing education for the physicians through the scholarships, whether it's the purchase of machinery, not just today, whether it's the financial, sort of gifting to other organizations. And you look back and you look at these guys and say, well, they're no longer working in that sense. But yet they're giving time, the talent, and the treasure.
Well, we also just completed the new calendar for 2019. And without corporate sponsors, we will be nothing, Part of my message was that so far in 2018, we've donated over $100,000, including bursaries to the Health Services Authority, the Lions Club of Grand Cayman, and to seafarers themselves, and many other important organizations in the community. And we are a non-profit organization, as I said the first time that I was here. So we depend on corporate sponsors, and we have a lot of them, I wouldn't bother to try and name because I might forget some, but I'm grateful, or we are grateful to all of them for supporting us, And as you rightly said, one of our pet things was the money that we gave to HSA for the furtherance of the doctors, local doctors. And I was privileged to give them the last of what we had promised them, $60,000 about 2 weeks ago. That brought it to $240,000. So, but that was over a 3-year period.
But I like the way you say that. He glanced over that, right? Well, just $60,000, right? But you have a total of $240,000. Yeah.
Well, we're a non-profit organization. Myself and all the council members, we just donate our time. We have to pay the office manager because that's a full-time job for her.
Yeah.
Little did she know that one of these days we'll probably ask her to do it free too.
And she will.
But it's a lot of effort on our part. But we know it's a worthwhile thing.
But Mr. Dennison, look at two things, and it's just my perspective. So you guide me. The contributions of, say, the seafarers, as we focus on the funding for the continuing education for the physicians, or the purchasing of equipment for any aspect within the health services. Those are things that are going to benefit all of us, as a community.
I know.
We're all going to benefit.
Well, we're trying to. One of our main missions is to make sure that the legacy of the seafarers. We built this country, and we want the future generation to know that. So we uphold all of the tenets of good citizenship, and especially to remind the future generation and the present one that Caymanian seamen are renowned throughout the world as some of the best seamen, So that's a legacy that we want to protect.
And perhaps, as we look at it and we see the changes, and sometimes, as a friend of mine, you get so busy with your work, no matter what your work is, that you don't have time to think beyond whatever that work is. Sometimes you don't even think about the work you're doing because you're almost on autopilot. Maybe affluence gives you a time to be pensive. Maybe it's a time off because of vacation or illness or otherwise. But if you look at the automotive industry, for instance, in the U.S., and you look at people who have skill sets in the technical areas, the engineers and we've seen, economically, the impact of big sort of industries being downsized or shift from one area to another, and the consequences for employment and all these other things. But we're looking equally at that transition of that technical skill in some areas. And I wonder to what extent, in the Cayman context, the Cayman of the 21st century, when we look back 100 years ago, 50 years ago, and the seafarers and that respect and that sort of deliberate seeking of the Caymanian seafarer because of the skill set, because of the seamanship and the like and the acumen, and then the Caymanian of today. And somehow I wonder if we were losing somewhere.
Well, what we're losing is the balance. So, and that's what we're trying to get back, so that people, the now generation, realizes that what they are experiencing now just didn't happen. We had to, not only myself, but people older than me, like my dad. He just passed on, but he was a sea captain for 38 years. As a matter of fact, he was one of the first Caymanian captains. But most of those older seamen, they never had a chance to really go to university or even high school, But they were self-taught men. And that's probably even better than going to university sometimes, because, a lot of children nowadays go to university, they got a big degree, and they don't have no common sense. So, and their work ethic is not right,
Yeah. We do have a caller, Mr. Dennison. I speak to Mr. Dennison. Ms. Anthea joins us. Let's take a caller. Let's continue the discussion. Hey, good afternoon and welcome. You're on Talk Today.
Hi, good afternoon. Denniston and Sterling, how are you guys doing?
Very well. How are you?
Good, fine, thanks. Denniston, hi, Sterling. This is Marva.
Hi, Marva. How are you?
Hey, fine, thanks. I just actually got into my car and turned it on and heard the conversation. I don't know how long you guys may have even started, but as a child of a seaman, and yes, my dad passed on the 31st of December just last year. It really hits home, and it took me this long to really realize how important you guys have been to our country. And it's sad on my part, but yes, you guys are the foundation of us, and therefore, not therefore, I didn't realize the magnitude of what you guys do within the community as well, too, just listening to all that you mentioned on the radio just a few minutes ago. So I'm grateful to know that I am a child of part of that foundation, and therefore, at this moment, I would like to personally commit to saying that I will be bringing to you, Denniston, because I know where to find you easy. I will commit right now, and I would challenge anyone who's actually listening in right now to the talk show challenge you to start a GoFund right on the phone, right on the radio right now. And I am committing to making a donation of $50. So I will find you, Dennis Dunn, and I will make that donation to the Cayman Islands Seafire Association. And like I said, I'm challenging anyone else who's on the radio right now and who realize and know the importance of the group of you gentlemen here in the Cayman Islands, and to also commit to making a monetary donation to you guys, leading up to Christmas too.
Yeah, that's a good thought, Marva. And I have to offer condolences again on your dad's passing. As a matter of fact, if you remember, on behalf of the Seafarers, I did a tribute to him from the Seafarers.
Yes, and thank you guys for that, yes.
And it's unfortunate that you're just now getting on board, but that Tibbetts blood in you is showing up now. But listen, Marva, you can now become. Since I've been president, I've changed. Well, not me, but the council has changed the constitution to say that children of seafarers can now join. Adult children, that is, and you are by far an adult, right? But the thought of doing an online fundraising thing, that's something I must tell you.
Over the radio.
Over the radio, I never thought about that, but it's a good thought, because every penny that we raise, and again, I must say that the thing that I've started out thanking people for assisting so much with the fundraiser that we just had Saturday night.
Yes.
We I don't remember the exact figure, but we did. Well, you know, we won't become millionaires off it, but we certainly paid our way, and after all expenses, the net profit was enough to make it be worthwhile, you know.
Great.
And the adult children, Marva, is only $50 a year. So you can, in addition, spearhead that $50.
Certainly. Well, that you just secured $100 because it's myself
exactly.
and my sister right there.
Exactly. Now you won't enjoy all of the benefits of a seafarer, but you'll be enjoying our hospitality.
Yeah, well, the thing is that, you know, for the time that I had with my father and the memories that we made, that's all the benefits that I actually need. So, yeah, I don't need those benefits now. And again, thank you to, you know, the Cayman Islands Seafarers for what you guys did in regards to his funeral and being there and offering a tribute. That's all the benefits I need, and I'm happy with that.
Well, thank you so much for calling, and we'll talk again. You know where to find me, right?
Yes, certainly will.
Thank you, Mom. Thank you too.
And the forms for membership as an adult child of a seafarer, they're at the office. We're open from 7 in the morning till 3 in the afternoon, Monday to Friday. Thank you so much again.
Thank you, dear.
All right, thanks. Have a good afternoon.
Bye-bye.
And you know that recognition by the caller for that demonstration of deference. But I think, with great respect to her, I think she's not alone in that. Many of us, not just the wider community, but even some of the, you know, the offspring of the seafarers, don't always know, understand, appreciate, recognize what has happened, what was sacrificed, and what is being contributed.
Anthea is the first adult child of a seafarer to be registered, so she's now a member of the association.
There you go. But I think too, Mr. Denson, it partly speaks to the fact that the ethos of our people, not many of us, you know, what do they say now, blow our own horns. You know, there's without question confidence and conviction, but we're quite unassuming. And so if you know, you know. If you don't know, you don't know. And there's much to be said for that. But as a community, and this is why I'm glad that you, like some of your predecessors, have been willing to come on, remind the public, there's a lot of tangible, you know, timely benefits as a result of your, you know, continuing contributions.
Yeah, and then one of the projects that we plan for next year is actually the home assistance program to elderly, real elderly. I mean, I'm a young elderly seafarer, but the real old ones. some of them, their houses are in disrepair and all that, and we plan to start up the program of assisting them next year. And any money that we can get, Marva just started a fantastic thing. I'm hoping that people who are listening will get on board with it. Yeah. All of that will help with that too,
And I think, this notion of the greater good, this idea that we all can and should do something to make it better for everybody else.
Exactly.
And that's, I believe, exhibited always in actions of the seafarers. You, as individuals, are involved in Lions or other service organizations. You're involved in the churches, in the schools, through your grandchildren. But it's an example. And as we talk more about that in the seafarers, Ms. Susan flags and say we have another caller. This could be lunch. This could be lunch. You had lunch? Let's see what happens. Let's go to the phones. Hey, good afternoon. You're on Talk Today.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you.
Rosemary Malcolm. I'm calling you from Cayman Brack.
Good afternoon, Ms. Rosemary.
I would also like to make a contribution of $50 in the memory of my dad, Sterling Ebanks, who's been a seaman for years, and he passed away in 2009.
Oh, thank you. Wow.
Oh, thank you, Mrs. Moxham.
Okay.
This is Dennis Tibbetts.
I will get it to you.
There's no problem. Thank you
right.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Blessings, Mom. Blessings.
All the best.
And this is that thing about Cayman. Someone who would mean.
When you say Cayman, you gotta remember Cayman Brack, okay?
But is it you?
It says Cayman. I can think it encompasses.
Look here, as a Cayman Bracker, we don't think like that. It's either Cayman Brack, Grand Cayman, or Little Cayman. Okay.
You know what? I'm going to. Is it not you, Mr. Dennis, who told me that every Cayman Bracker is a Caymanian, but every Cayman is a Cayman Bracker?
That's exactly. Exactly.
So,
exactly.
But
so I have two nationalities. I'm a Cayman Bracker, plus I'm a Caymanian.
Now I bet you. Well, you know what? Let me stay on the good side of the Cayman Brack Caymanian sitting across at that table who makes sure the sound is good.
We have one, Susan.
Yeah, she tells us now we have a short break. But when you come back, please stay with us and tell us some more. And maybe there are others out there who, it may not be 50,000, it may not be 50 million, but it may be. Who may be able to see the importance of making a contribution, and it's not
anything will be greatly.
Exactly. All right, let's pause and take a break, and when we come back, we'll tell you more about the Cayman Seafarers Association. Maybe get a chance to preview the calendar and hear about some of the good things. So please stay tuned for Talk Today.
Retain your peace of mind by installing a reliable generator, knowing that your family is safe and secure during a power outage. At Corporate Electric, we care about the well-being of our customers and their loved ones. We are the official distributor of Kohler SDMO generators in the Cayman Islands and can conduct a free assessment of your house to suggest the perfect fit. Call us at 946-2277. Visit our website or the Facebook page for more details.
We are Radio Cayman, and this is how we wake you up in the morning. Praise time. Praise time on Radio Cayman. Open the eyes of my heart, Lord. Open the eyes of my heart. I'm gonna walk them golden stairs, 'cause I know my Jesus answers all my prayers. Praise time.
Weekday mornings from 6 until 6:30.
Praise time.
There's nothing to go back to.
Give me Jesus in the morning.
For the God of the mountain is still God in the valley.
Shout with joy to God, all the earth sing glory to His name. Praise time. Praise time.
Jesus in the morning. Yeah.
Weekday mornings from 6 until 6:30.
Attention, please.
Hi, this is Paulette, Deputy Director at Radio Cayman. From my family to yours, I just want to say, may lovely, happy times decorate your holiday season. May warm, special memories brighten your new year. May the wonder of Christmas be with you forever. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
But I do have some questions.
questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back to Talk Today. We invite you to call and share your thoughts with us if you so choose. 949-8837, 1-800-534-8255. I have a chance to speak to Mr. Dennis Tibbetts as the president of the Cayman Islands Seafarers Association and the office manager, Ms. Santia. So, you know, I know from time to time some of us just stop in just for so, and we never know who we meet in there, you know, and the stories that we get to hear and the little things that maybe should only stay in there, but they enrich our lives.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Denison.
Sometimes I think, at least my children think that I'm ahead of my time because I know so much, but I like to listen and I like to ask questions of older people, you know.
Yeah, man.
Of course, you don't get much older than me, but, you know.
So it's true. I heard that one of your family members said that, you know, when, you know, Methuselah and all them were around, you were right there at the same time?
I was right there, asking questions.
I should be here.
You know, without making a joke, Liz Schofield from the National Trust actually came to my house some years ago and made a recording of different things. Because she couldn't believe, because she's older than I am, and she couldn't believe that I knew all these things. But it's only because I listened to my dad and my uncles and my mom and I ask questions. I have a very inquisitive mind, so.
But that speaks to not just that knowledge and acumen and intellect that you have, but equally that oral part of who we are, and maybe, hopefully, I don't offend others, maybe it'll stir within my own sense a desire to seek more. I look to Ray Banker, for instance, and the constant searching of us as a people.
Yeah, I've been on that show a couple of times with some old stories, you know, different things you guys were talking about. And Soldier Crab and all that kind of thing.
And that's the thing, you know, we have to now use prompts as children of seafarers. You know, Santi, you're the first, as Mr. Tibbetts shared. Others may be inspired and may be part of this legacy.
I really hope so. I really, we had to do a new application form for children of seafarers, and they are available at the center there. Anthea is there from 7 till 3 every day, from Monday to Friday. So you can, you know, I encourage children of seafarers, adult children of seafarers, to not that we don't want the little kids, but you know, we prefer the adults who can actually make a contribution.
Yeah, preserve the history of our elder members.
Because quite a few people like Anthea and her father, and my father, unfortunately, they passed on, but. We know they. Well, I had the privilege of going to sea, but it's a legacy that has to be remembered and has to be influenced.
And I think too, you know, as I look at a couple of the WhatsApps that are coming through, and one in particular says, you know, good afternoon, loving, you know, today's topic. You know, it's always near and dear to my heart, and what shares in this person. This person recognizes my dad too was a seaman and sailed the Commonwealth in the 50s, and yet there are many of us, even assembled here and others who are listening, that our own fathers and our uncles and our granduncles and grandfathers, and like this is, I don't want to say bittersweet, but emotional. You know, we reflect on it and well, Miss Anthea, but we respect that and hopefully, Mr. Denison, people will start to appreciate that this isn't, you know, about self-promotion or self-preservation. It's about championing within our people that they need to, you know, recognize that we are, you know, we called to greatness, and we have to continue to excel and aspire to greatness.
And the person who sent that email, maybe they can join and. Yes. What we also we're going to be producing we have a website now, but we're going to improve on it. And all the people who have stories about seafarers or their fathers or whatever, if they get in touch with Auntie, and you know, she can put it on. I think what is really happening is that a lot of the parents now who are children, adult children of seafarers, they're not teaching their children, what their grandfathers did. So it's losing its touch. Some of the kids now don't even realize that their grandfather or uncle or whatever was a seafarer.
I think to draw an analogy, it's not unlike the veterans in our society. I look to Mr. Loxley and Captain Dale in particular, and this similar discussions that we have here, to recognize that our seafarers, from very early, whether it's the early schooners or whether they sail, the world's largest vessels at the time, and they traverse the globe, to our veterans who stumbled upon something that even in the American Civil War, Caymanians.
Oh yeah.
I'm thinking, really? And
how did we get into that?
Yeah, it's amazing. And as you look at some of the things, now we know World War I without question. We see some still over in Europe. But where are we as a people when it comes to showing respect and valuing that legacy?
It's so funny that people. I treasure the thought of my dad being a seaman and making such great sacrifices to have his children move to Jamaica and be educated, because in Cayman Brac, when I was a kid there was no high school, there weren't even electricity when I was there, so I remember my youngest, just today, my youngest daughter, who is a teacher in Florida, she came because, my wife, her mother is not well. And she was reading my dad is in this calendar, and she was just reading and she started to cry. And she was saying to me, Daddy, I said, what are you crying for, Chrissy? She said, Dad, I'm just so thankful that Granddaddy did what he did, and you are doing what you're doing, So they understand, and she has a son, my grandson, and she teaches him about it. So,
how do we do that? Because you just shared something that I'll repeat what I thought I heard you say. We who are the adult children of seafarers are not doing enough to make sure that our children know what they're going, right? And
well, not all of us, but
just generally speaking, right?
Yeah. Right.
And I'm wondering to what extent. You see, is it because the resource isn't readily available? Is it that we don't believe it's important? I just went to...
Well, there's a mixture. Yeah. There's a mixture because progress has caught up with us and I didn't even know what a cell phone was until, 20 years ago. Now they're born into it. My little grandson, he knows more about that and a tablet and all that. I don't know how to operate all those kind of things, And I think that time and progress has caught up so quickly with us that we don't have really time, but we need to make time so that the legacy is forever there,
Miss Auntie, you pull that mic closer to you when you're ready and you just step into it, girl, because you're where you are because of who you are, right?
Thanks. Yeah, I agree with Mr. Denniston on that, but in my short time of being there, unfortunately, I have actually met families in the passing of the seafarer, where they come in and say, can you tell me what ships my father was on? Now, to me, that is my saddest thing to experience, that you've lost touch not just of what your father has done or your mother has done in our society, but who they were, because that's who they were. And we are proud of ourselves and the achievement we make in growing in our jobs and getting promotions and so on and so forth. But these are stories that from our family that we have to pass down so our kids will understand. It's like at the hall, for instance, we have not all of them, but members' names, seafarers of the islands, names on our wall as a tribute. Say thanks, and anyone can get on the wall if they were a seafarer. You don't have to pay for it. You literally got to come in. Just fill out a form for me so I can put their names up for us to be able to say thanks to this person. But so many people still don't know about that even. So the disconnect is quite saddening, really.
And I wonder too, and it's not it's not an attempt to defend that, but I look at other people, and many can probably speak to, the psychological, the sociological reason why, we don't do it. But there is this unwillingness, this reluctance sometimes, because we think it's bragging and self-promoting.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I'll ask more about that, but I'm trying to determine down from Miss Susan's sort of. We go to the phones? Well, let's go to the phones. Hey, she's the boss. Hey, good afternoon. You're on Talk Today. Hey, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Dennis and Auntie and Dwayne.
Afternoon, sir.
I want to thank you for going on there and thanking all those people who supported us on Saturday night, and to wish all of our brothers and sisters in the Seafair Association a Merry Christmas when it gets here.
Thank you very much, Stanley. He was president last year. He's vice president this year, so he's my mentor. You see. Thanks a lot, Stanley.
Much older, is all you're saying.
He don't think so, but I think so.
Oh, but he sees me again. Okay, sir. Anything else you want to share with us?
Nah, just that. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Stanley. Thanks.
Take care, sir. Oh no! Hey, listen. As you go to the break, this is something that I love and admire in my own father. Yeah, there's a birth certificate that says that they were born a certain time that seems to have been 1,000 years ago. But that youthfulness, that energy and enthusiasm, I get tired trying to keep up with them. Yeah. So
I won't bother to disclose Stanley's age, but I tell you what, he is doing fantastic for his age. Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah. Seriously, man. I mean, for 150, he's not doing too bad at all.
You know what I mean?
All right.
Now I know he's going to kill both of us.
All right, let's pause and take a quick news break. When we come back, more Talk Today.
Radio Cayman. Radio Cayman's newsroom. These are the biggest stories right now.
The National Roads Authority, NRA, along with its subcontractor, will continue paving the bicycle lane on Esteli-Tibbetts Highway today. Sections of the southbound lane first, then the northbound lane will be coned off to facilitate the works. During the roadworks, drivers are asked to keep watch for traffic diversions and are asked to drive with caution in order to ensure their safety and that of the work of crews. Good afternoon, I'm Dion Anglin with your headlines and news elsewhere. The UK government will publish its full legal advice on Theresa May's Brexit deal after MPs found it in contempt of Parliament for not doing so. The Commons supported a motion backed by 6 opposition parties demanding full disclosure by 311 votes to 293. U.S. senators say they are confident the Saudi crown prince was linked to the murder of a Saudi journalist following a private CIA briefing. Senator Lindsey Graham said he had high confidence Mohammed bin Salman knew in advance about the killing of Jamal Khashoggi. The South Carolina Republican described the Saudi royal as a wrecking ball and crazy and dangerous. And the government of Barbados said it remains committed to the development of the blue economy as the ocean has been identified as the lifeblood of the planet. Minister of Maritime Affairs and the Blue Economy, Kirk Humphrey, emphasized the government's commitment to the process as he addressed the inaugural Sustainable Blue Economy Conference in Kenya on Monday. Barbados has already announced a ban on single-use plastics from April 1st, 2019. That's a wrap of your headlines. I'm Dion Anglin.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands. What's happening in your community? News and information, music and more. You can find us. www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Radio Cayman is your choice, your voice for today's biggest news. Radio Cayman.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back to Talk Today. And, I say this seriously and sincerely. I sit in this chair, and it's not about I think my last paycheck was like a whole pile of money. I mean, like I cashed that. And
like $150?
No, my...
When I started out as a OS, I was getting $127.50 per month, and I was sending home $100 to Mama to put in the bank for me. So
it was a lot of money then, too, right?
That was a lot of money then.
And to be able to facilitate this discussion and to sit with people like you, not just you, the individual, but the organization that you represent, man, you don't know the pride and the privilege that I feel. And this, but anyway, Mr. Let me.
I don't want you to cry.
No. 2 things I don't do. I don't laugh and I don't cry. So
it seems to me you do both of them.
There you go. Well, Mr. Denniston, it's a pleasure. So, but share with us, because I think many people are, as they're listening.
Well, actually, I'm going to go down the list of the projects that we have completed this year. But a project that we've just embarked on is to beautify the grounds. And 2 of the was it Pro Plus and Ever Blooming thing, they've promised to donate some plants for us to, because they're very sparse now. But anybody with a green thumb who would like to donate plants to us up there, please give us a call. What are the numbers again? 947-7348.
7378.
7378.
Miss Anthea,
947-7378.
That's the office number, 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. Monday through Friday.
All right.
And if for some reason Miss Anthea has been summoned to an errand, there'll be a little sign, be right back. And
exactly. You've been there, right?
Once or twice.
But let me just go through a few things that we've done. We put new flags up there. And, in putting the flags up, somebody had to go up on the rigging to put them up. And the people who were there at the time, they bet me I couldn't do it. Not remembering that, not as big as I am, but not remembering that I'm a building contractor. So, but they didn't fulfill they said they would take us to lunch, and they haven't taken us yet.
Yeah, we're still holding them to that.
Well,
but I did do it.
I hope you're listening.
And we had some new windows installed. They got the guttering is fixed. And like I said, we're going to start. Well, we have actually started the home program by visiting people. We just power washed the cenotaph. The wheel needed some new paint on it, some new varnish. And Anthea insisted that because no disrespect to anyone who was there before, but we're trying to bring all the records up to date, and there were a lot of people's names there who were deceased and they were still on file, so we cleared all that up. We painted the bridge just before we had the big fete, and we power washed the entire building and the roof. I know the roof was supposed to be white, but it's amazing the amount of grime and dirt that was on that, because it looks so good. We've taken out some old window units and plastered them in, and of course we've just completed the calendar project. These calendars, we'll go into that in a short while.
Yes, sir.
But they're available at the hall for $10 a piece. And somebody suggested that if you put $2 on it, $12, you get a Southwell book with it. So the raffle project went off, and we have this year, thankfully, all the winners Saturday night were Caymanians. No disrespect to other nationalities, because we need those people to support us too. But last year it was the opposite. It was all people who, although they worked here, so our own people kind of felt jilted. And of course, like I said, we just cleared that piece of land, and I might as well tell you who it's for. It's for Danny Soto, and he was gladly gave us the permission to do it. And some of the trees were really overgrown, and they were humbugging up the lights and all that, so we got all that trimmed. We got a new service bell, and about a month ago, myself and Anthea went up to Clifton Hunter School and did a presentation at their Heritage Day, which was well received. And of course, like I said, that big donation that we talked about for the Health Services Authority, that was the final one, and I am investigating. I haven't taken it to the board yet, but I'm investigating probably funding one of the nurses in the nursing program, but that hasn't been finalized yet. But it's a thought, you know. So we're on the ball, you know. Like I say, all the time is donated by myself and all of the council members. But it's time well spent, and some of these guys have some fantastic ideas. I mean, it's proven really good for the public, because when I was vice president, you know, we had probably 75, 80 people per meeting. Now it's 200 and odd. And Saturday night last year we had about 200 people at the raffle function. Saturday night we had over 400. I mean, it was just overwhelming, you know. So I know we're doing something right, and I'm grateful for that.
And I'm grateful that as a community, as you shared, Mr. Denniston, the corporate sponsors, you know, the wider community, the individuals and the families, that we're starting to not only quietly, you know, show our appreciation and our respect, but publicly come out and demonstrate. We buy the calendars because they're beautiful calendars, they're historical value, but it also, we see that contribution, you know, as small as it may be, is a contribution that when, you know, collected it makes a meaningful impact.
And this year we concentrated on captains and chief engineers. The calendar for 2020, we're going to concentrate on the ABs. You know what the AB is, right?
You know
the man that's steering the ship? In other words, they're quartermasters.
Yeah,
I see that little smile. You didn't know Man the Moon was talking about.
No. You know what? I gotta make a deal with you, right? I gotta bring something for you. When Miss Auntie said something just now, reminded me. And there's a lady that she calls in. She works with one of the, you know, the cultural places. She always admonishes me for not doing something that I should do. So, but I gotta do this part, and only because, you know what, I'm inspired by you, Mr. Denniston. Now, Miss Susan tell me, take a break, she says. Is that from harassing Mr. Denniston, or because you need to do commercials? She said, oh, no. She said, no, I'm not harassing.
She's a braca, yeah.
Boy, I thought West Bears would take. But my goodness, boy. Cayman Brackers, they defend their own when they take care of it.
One thing, can I mention one thing before we go to the break?
Yes, sir. No, I want to use it.
I know. Of course, you know that a lot of our seamen, seafarers, they have actually divorced the wives who fathered their children and was with them all the time. Well, we are looking into the fact that has happened, and we can't do anything about that. But we're looking into the fact that the Seafarers Association can assist those women too, you know, rather than just the present wives.
You know what? And that shows not only, you know, your vision, but also your recognition that reality, you know, life comes at you fast, right?
It does.
Let's pause quickly, so I can stay on the good side of the other Cayman Bracker. And when we come back, we'll continue the discussion. Promise, Mr. Denniston, you can tell us more about the calendar, and hopefully we can get, you know, everybody in every household. I say this, of all the money we spend on Christmas gifts, especially if we have family overseas, but the ones there, makes a wonderful gift.
It does.
You can buy 2 and you still won't be broke.
You can buy 10.
There's also the Southwell book being sold at the office, $5 a book, and it does have a lot of history on the seafarers. So,
like I said, this idea came up from one of our council members. It only happened like yesterday, so I haven't been able to take it to council. But I'm sure if they came and bought a calendar for $2 more, you could get a Southwell book, right, Anthony?
And we could run a good deal. Yeah, you spend $10 for one calendar, or spend $100 and we give you 10. I mean, that is a good deal.
That's a good deal. Yeah.
Let's pause and take a break. When we come back, we'll talk today.
Business owners and marketing managers, did you know that during the holidays, 1 in every 3 persons in Cayman search findyellow.com? Get more visibility for your business with Yellow's special Christmas advertising package. Contact our advertising consultants at 949-7027 or visit findyellow.com to find out more. Yellow, we know Cayman.
RC Fusion featuring Billboard pop hit songs and more from the 70s to the 90s.
RC Fusion.
Weekdays from 10 a.m. till 12. RC Fusion.
Brought to you by Country and Western. No mess, no fuss. Just the best in Caymanian cuisine at a price you can afford.
Country and Western now offering delivery. Call 945-4079.
RC Fusion. RC Fusion.
Give me the green light.
The Proud of Them Youth Recognition Program is accepting nominations. Now in its 10th round, the award recognizes 12 outstanding young people between the ages of 10 and 25 for their achievements in academics, careers, business, sports, culture, or community work. Nominate your choice for the prestigious Proud of Them Award by visiting www.gov.ky. Submissions must be received by Friday, December 7th. This message was brought to you by the Ministry of Education, Youth, Sports, Agriculture and Lands in partnership with the National Youth Commission.
Talk today.
But I do have some questions.
Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back to Talk Today. Thanks for joining us. And again, special thanks to Mr. Dennis and Tibbetts and Ms. Anthea for joining us. We talk about the Cayman Seafarers Association for those of you who are listening. And, you know, I reflect on it not only because of the time of year, but also because maybe that season in which we're in, where people are starting to look at it. And Mr. Dennison, Christmas in particular. Many. My father always talks about, you know, the smell of apples when he was a child. And I'll be honest with you, I can't tell the last time I could smell an apple. I mean, I've seen them and I've tried, and I was in the supermarket here and there and everywhere.
That's that Henry Bush thing. You don't smell them, you eat them.
But there's no smell.
That's true.
You can rub it as much as you want.
Yeah, that's
right.
right.
But then there was the breeze, right? Now my wife talks about.
Actually, we're getting a little bit of the Christmas breeze now, you know.
Yeah. And the Christmas beef, and then the people of fellowship, and Christmas and the seafarers and that return home. Right? Yeah. There's probably a song that could be the unofficial national anthem, you know. When we look at his, I think his contribution to Cayman, you know, Andy Martin, when he looks at that letter from home and the idea, that song in and of itself.
I was actually on a ship with Andy Martin.
Yeah?
He's a lot older than me, but he says no, but you know, it's another story.
I don't know, boy. He looks young.
Well, you know, that thing they call Just for Men, that has played a trick on a lot of us.
Yeah.
But I'd just like to remind the listeners, you still have time to call in, and also remember this number, 947-7378. That's the office number at Cayman Seafarers. So call Anthea, and a lot of times I'm there, you know. But she answers the phone anyhow, so she does everything. And, of course, she's there trying to help me get over my personal problems with my wife. She just had a very serious triple bypass surgery at Shetty's, and she's still there, and it's kind of taxing on me. But with her help and my two girls, you know, I'm getting through. And a lot of prayers. People have called in and offered prayer, and it works. Prayer works. Nothing works like prayer does. So,
hey, listen, and people can take it for what it's worth, right? But there's power in prayer. On the plane, okay, the plane is going down, and there are children, little bits of little children, and they're crying and they're screaming, and you know, maybe it's the ears, maybe they're nervous. I don't know. I know what I'm feeling. And a simple, quiet little prayer. And those children are quiet for 3, 4, 5, 6 hours, whatever the flight is. Now, the mother didn't give the child Paragoric. You know, didn't do anything, right?
That was the old remedy.
Yeah. And if people don't think that's prayer, well,
that's right.
I believe it is.
So do I.
And it wasn't just one time, and it just wasn't one flight. It wasn't just this one trip. Power prayer. So, and I say that, Mr. Nelson, because those who don't know, you know, what you know, as you say, the taxing time and the support that you have, not just, you know, with your own team.
Exactly. And Saturday night was extremely difficult for me because of what's happening with my wife. But I know I had to be at the Seafarers because it's my job, you know.
But it's the grace and the humility, right? And
I'm a humble guy, for God's sake.
Yes, you are. And the people who I think it speaks to, you know, who we are as a people.
Did you speak to my children this morning?
That's why I was late. That's good.
Because the last thing they said, Daddy, please be humble now. Be humble when you go in the
No, you are a man of humility.
And they're listening in, so as soon as I get to the door, the phone is going to ring. Daddy, did you? I'll say, did you speak to Sterling Dwayne this morning? You know?
No,
but it's all for the betterment of Cayman, you know.
Yes, sir.
And Cayman Brack and Little Cayman.
But it's the amazing team of our council.
Yeah, the council that we have.
When one
I mean,
is
in
not
my
there,
message,
they step
in my
in.
message
It's
this year
amazing.
or next year rather, for the calendar, I had to mention them because they have some fantastic ideas that we put forward.
Mm.
And you know, it has a. I don't know if you can see it.
I think Ms. Susan agrees that this is the good and the bad of where we are with technology. Oh. We put these little things in the studio.
Well, I mean, there's a captain or a chief engineer on all of the months, and we have a
you hold it up, Ms. Susan will fix it. Like that, Ms. Susan. All right.
We
so for those who are ready,
that's the council for 2018, 2019 to 2020 February. February is when our term finishes.
Mm-hmm.
That's another thing we changed and got the agreement from the general body to change instead of 1 year, you know. And we have a message here from the office manager, and it's just a wealth of information. There's my dad. I don't know how I just found him, but it tells you, and on the back page it shows you a photograph of every person who is for that one. Captain Eldon is January. Captain Ned, Captain Owen, Captain Shelby, my dad, Mr. Lee, Mr. Gerzong. Who is this guy? Trevor Wattle.
Yes.
If he hears me, he'll kill me. And of course Andrew is there, and Neville McCoy, and even this West Bay man, you know him, Captain Benson. So it's a wealth of knowledge, and you know it tells a little bit about every person who is on it. Yeah. And at the very back, you know, there's a little history of the association, and we have the 2019. 2020 calendar, and we have flags of all the ports that our seamen have travelled.
So like that, Ms. Susan, you know, on the radio and now on the screen, coming to you near some YouTube channel. No, but the thing is that these, whether it's the Southwell, you know, or whether it's the calendars over the years that have been produced, they're snippets of a history, and they're not to be dismissed.
No.
That's right.
I know they inform, and I think something that you shared just now, that maybe many of us only draw on when we're trying to prepare for the service. But these are, you know, the accomplishments of our people, you know.
Yeah.
And
this is a history of what of our people, our seafaring people, and we are a seafaring people, whether we go to sea or not.
You know what's interesting, though, and I stumble upon this often, even more so now, maybe because you know you just have the good fortune, but the Caymanians who are no longer residing in Cayman, who have children, who had children, who may have children, and so they're not in Cayman, and they're living in some place where the closest bottle of water is probably in the kitchen sink, right? And yet they gravitate towards the sea.
Yes.
That's right.
They're like the turtle.
It's true.
It's I won't embarrass the fellow, but it's the strangest thing. You know, he's telling me that the little boy is like drawn to the sea, and he's thinking, and didn't realize it, that you know the grandmother on the father's side, way back when it was. That's the connection.
Well, I remember growing up in Jamaica. We always went to the sea, and I've had workers over the years who have lived in Jamaica and never saw the sea. You know, Jamaica is not that big a country. I mean, it's much bigger than Cayman, but you'd be surprised how many people live in the interior of Jamaica who have never seen the sea. But just before we go, I'd just like to mention a few things that we plan for next year.
Yes, sir.
Is we plan on a quarterly basis either to have a storytelling night or a domino night. So we're trying to make it interesting so the older people as well as the younger people can enjoy themselves.
Mm-hmm.
We had something on Halloween. And we had storytelling, Of course, I didn't have to put on it. I have my face on already, so I don't need to put on a mask. But it was not that many people there, but the people who were there, fantastic.
Yeah, the stories were amazing.
The thing is that when and I think this is why
I don't like how you're laughing.
You know what? Sometimes you shouldn't kiss and tell, but this might not be one of those. Oh, but that's the thing, and those of us who get the good fortune, you talk about listening to the stories and you like to listen, and you get a chance to be in the company of the seafarers and their stories, and some are mindful of the company of younger years, but the things that you learn and you watch them interact, and some believe that they're still in their 20s and they're like.
I'm still in my 20s.
I can assure you.
In my mind.
They do believe that.
There you go. But it's the beautiful part about it, man. And I think that's where we as a people can do more. And maybe we start within our own families.
That's right.
Start thinking about, showing that their friends and collecting.
Well, I hope you'll have us back. And I want to thank you so much for having us today. And on behalf of the association, this is for this radio station, not for you to carry home.
Yeah.
You have to come to buy one.
No, actually, I have instructions to purchase a couple. So maybe I can do that before we leave. But we do have a call online as we go to the phones. I think this caller is going to make a significant financial contribution. Let's see what happens.
Really?
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome here on Talk Today.
Good afternoon, Dwayne. Welcome back. And I'd really, really, really like to express my appreciation to Mr. Denniston for coming out in spite of all challenges. He is a reservoir of history. Our marine heritage is of tremendous importance to the extent that we now need to have him be circulated throughout our primary schools to continue passing the baton. Those halls of the Seafarers Association, both the one here and in Cayman are museums in of their own. And I'm very enlightened that he is expressing invitation to those who have the opportunity to bring pictures and bring information that they can have their relatives placed on the wall. It is through my being able to look at those walls during funeral services and other memorials that I've been able to capture a deeper sense of how significant this community has been to the entire marine world, in the world, globally. And that cannot be stated in any heavier term to emphasize how important that has been. It is true that we need to distill the information that has been resonating from ear to ear to children who are now unencumbered by that history. They need to know this history because it will change their outlook, their lives, their attitude toward themselves, and their attitude toward other people who are condescending to them. So I'd like to commend Mr. Tibbetts and his team and those who have been in the past who have been part of the association. We would like to see the association continuing to next generations, and it is very enlightening that they are now inviting children to be part of the association so they can continue with handing that baton down to next gen. Thank you very much.
Thank you too, sir, honestly.
Thank you very much.
Very, very
well
much.
said.
And as I call it, shared, that's the notion that we build on.
By the way, call if you... Oh, you
well, he can hear it, yeah.
If you're hearing me, Sterling Dwayne said that you were going to do a sizable contribution. Well, you did a sizable contribution, even though it wasn't monetarily. We thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, man. Susan gave me the cue as to who was up next, so I got to reach out to him again. But that's the thing, the recognition, as he so eloquently put it, that we're failing, as a people to show deference, and sadly, it's only at somber occasions that we start to reflect and be called to remember You know? But let's do it now, man. Let's do it now. The calendars, we can come by the office to get them?
Yeah, anytime between 7 in the morning and 3 in the afternoon, Monday to Friday.
All right.
Or you can call Anthea, or you can call myself, 916-3334, and I'll be happy to bring... Well, it has to be a minimum of 5, though. I'm not coming out of the office unless you want me to bring 5.
Hey, you know, you're called to order certain food items. There's a minimum order, right?
Exactly. So the minimum for deliverance for delivery is 5 calendars.
You make a deliverance too, huh?
I'll make it a deliverance too, because I'll pray for you.
Well, let's take one final call, please. Good afternoon. Welcome. You're on Talk Today. Hello. Good afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon, Mr. Denson.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Could you talk a little louder, please?
Yeah, good afternoon. This is Lynn. I see with a call. I can't talk hard.
Okay.
I want to give $100 between Lynn and Dave to the seaman. So I will ask Dave to drop it off tomorrow.
Miss Lynn? All right.
Okay, Miss Lynn.
Yes.
I'm sorry. I hope your cold soon gets better.
Yeah, man. But I miss Saturday night because what happened, the hip was paining me so much I couldn't get out.
Oh, I'm so sorry. And you missed the turtle meat that I cooked.
Yeah, it doesn't here.
Future reference. If you call us and let us know that you're not feeling well on events like this, we do try to put aside for our members and deliver them, which I did to 2 of our members on Sunday. So keep that in mind for future reference. If you are a member, you do show up to the meetings, and you are involved, then reach out and let us know you're not well. You can be visited by our visiting committee.
We have a committee that visits the shut-ins and the sick. But of course, we like to see you out, so we hope that you soon feel better. And thank you so much for that $100 contribution.
Thanks very much. And that's the spirit, you know, where we have in our community the people who, you know, it reminds me of the passage in the scripture where, you know, the person comes in and just got a couple of little cents, you know, but they give it a willing heart. You know, and with the greatest respect, sometimes, whether in Cayman or other parts of the world, you see big corporations with a big PR, and they give a part to some, and yet, you know, some little child, some, you know, elderly retired person, you know, gives.
Well, you see, those big corporations, they want something in return. The person who, like Miss Lynn, who does it from the heart.
From the heart, you know. Yeah. Well, Mr. Dennison,
Marky, we'll still take those big contributions, don't get me wrong.
And they can get all the PR they want, huh? All right, but I want to commend you and Miss Auntie and, you know, your council, all the seafarers, and wish not only, you know, the blessings of health and prosperity, but extend an invitation. Please come on. Share as you need, as you wish, and hopefully as a community we start to appreciate, get, you know.
Yeah, there are a lot of things that we are willing to do, like making wheelchair ramps and getting wheelchairs for people who can't get around. As a matter of fact, not to prolong it, but I was stopped this morning at Foster's Food Fair by a gentleman and his wife, and he doesn't have any legs, and he wants a seat to bathe in. So I told her what to do. So we provide things because he's a seafarer. So
yeah, man.
Thanks again so much for allowing us to be here. And even though there was a little mix up with the timing, but you know, we're humble people, aren't we?
Well, we take a page from your book and hopefully aspire to equally be as humble. Thanks very much, Mr. Dennison. I hope I get to see you very often.
Thank you very much.
Zantia, thanks for taking good care of him, you know.
Pleasure.
Pleasure. Some people think he's not a bad fellow despite being a Cameron Brackle, you know. Ooh, look at Susan like.
You better not say that if you go Cameron Brackle.
No, honestly, there's something I tell the guys on the Brack. A little came on too, but there's something about it, and I think it's because it reminds me of West Bay so much. You know,
that's right.
No comment.
Really great people.
There you go, man.
No comment.
No, man.
I'm only fortunate to have met the nice people from West Bay. The bad ones I don't keep company with. Okay, thanks again, and God bless you all.
Yeah, man. That people recognize that despite, you know, the short, you know, span of years between Mr. Dennison and myself, that's why we're so jovial. I respect you. I really appreciate you, Mr. Dennison, and I get reminded each day that we have great people who, despite their humility and undying sense of sacrifice and service, we too can champion the greater good. So, thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
All right.
And when I grow up, I want to be just like you.
I hope you be more handsome. And to our listeners, come back tomorrow. Thank you for supporting the wonderful organizations, and in particular the Cayman Islands Seafarers Association. You may not know much about what they do, but I can promise you it probably touches and affects all of our lives in a very, very positive way. The contributions to the HSA, whether through equipment or sponsoring those 4 physicians, just a small token. Get a copy of the calendar. Get 10. Share them with your friends here and there and there and far. It doesn't matter. Until tomorrow, be blessed.
Of the Cayman Islands, Radio Cayman.
We love our listeners.
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.